Hi, it's Alex here. Welcome to your the second video in the LinkedIn Basic Profile Optimization series. And in this particular video, I'm going to show you the main areas that you need to optimize, the prerequisite areas to optimize for a basic LinkedIn profile. And this is useful if you've already got a basic LinkedIn profile, or indeed if you're creating one for the first time. So keep a lookout for that. And secondly, I'll tell you the key mistake to avoid when setting up your profile for the first time. So look out for that as well. So where are these key areas and labels anyway? Well, they can be split into different segments. And let me just flip across to my LinkedIn profile to point to the areas that I'm talking about. So there's the heading. So where my name is. There are titles and tags. So if we scroll down just a little bit, the titles and tags are my job titles, my place of work, my top skills, which are in the skills and endorsement section just down, a little bit further down here. And then in the interest section, there's another place where it's useful to append tags and labels that are relevant to you. And then there are description areas of LinkedIn. So descriptions being the free text areas, I suppose you could call them, where you can add volumes of text. So here you can see just under my picture, you can see the summary section where I've added a certain amount of text there. Again, another example of a description is the job description itself underneath each job. The summary that I've put underneath each job. Another very important label or tag, you can call it, is my name, because a lot of recruiters will search for people by typing in their name in a Google search. I'll show you what I mean just up here. So I've typed my name, Alex Wilson Campbell, into Google, and here you can see my LinkedIn in the search engine results pages. And that may or may not have appeared in the search engine results pages had I chosen not to adjust or customize my URL. So if I click on that, that'll take me through to my profile. As you can see, my name appears here at the top of the heading. My URL is customized with my first name and surname. So these are all important areas and labels which can be customized and optimized. And these are areas that I'm going to talk to you about a little later on. As mentioned, I'll give you a checklist as well. So, there's no need to write everything down that I say. I'll provide you the checklist towards the end, and you can email me if you want a copy of the checklist as well. It's important to actually get the right basic setup for your profile, as I mentioned before. And that's what I refer to as phase one, I suppose you could say. And phase two is actually optimizing and customizing the basic setup. So let's just run through the key areas of the basic setup. I'm going to run through this pretty quickly because it's something that's pretty easy, pretty straightforward to do. It's just a matter of doing it in the right way. So the first screen you'll see when you're just beginning to set up your basic LinkedIn profile for the first time, they ask you to put in 3 separate items. So your first and last name. So make sure you put in your first and last name as it is. No aliases. Because as I mentioned to you before, some recruiters may do a search for you by name. If you don't put your full name in as it appears, then they may not find you. Second, put in a professional email address. And I always recommend using an email address that's dedicated to your job search. And then thirdly, just put in a password that you can remember. Click on Join Now and it will take you through to a screen that looks something like this. And it's important here to add in the correct geographical information, because recruiters will do geographical searches for candidates within a certain vicinity. So if you're in the UK, make sure you add the UK and put in a postcode that's accurate as well, so they can then do postcode searches based on jobs that they're trying to fill. Obviously, make sure you pick the right status, whether you're employed, you're a job seeker or a student. put in an accurate job title as well, you'll have a chance when it comes to the customization phase to optimize, to amend the job title. So don't worry too much about that at this stage. Then when you go to the company tab or the company field, when you start to type in the company that you work for, LinkedIn will auto suggest a list of companies that potentially match what you're trying to type in. Make sure that you select the company that you work for from that auto suggest list, because LinkedIn will then append that company to your profile. So again, when recruiters, employers do their searches, and sometimes they do searches according to company, you will appear in that list of people who they search for. And finally, this part of the basic setup anyway is where you make sure that you choose the right industry that you belong to. So me, internet was the main industry that I belonged to at this time. Again, recruiters will search for people according to industry, so it's important to get that right as well. Once you've done that, click on the blue Create My Profile button. When you get to this step, LinkedIn will essentially ask you several times to grow your network on LinkedIn. And what this really means is that it wants to search your contacts or look at the contacts that you have on your email list and cross-check them with people who might or might not be on LinkedIn. If you press the continue button here, it will alert them to the fact that you've set up a new profile on LinkedIn. And at this stage, of course, you don't want to let them know that, because your profile is very bare and it's probably going to be quite unrecognizable. So don't do that at this stage. Click the skip this step URL to move to the next step. And then when you come to confirming your email address or confirming your profile, get LinkedIn to actually send a confirmation email address instead of actually confirming your account on LinkedIn. So get LinkedIn to send a confirmation email address instead by clicking here. So now you'll be presented with two options. First option being, do you want a basic free profile or do you want a premium profile, which costs around about $24, $25 a month? Now, we're talking about basic profile setup here, and the fact that I've used my basic profile to leverage a number of contacts and been able to receive a number of job offers via LinkedIn. So for the time being, at least, select the basic free account by clicking the yellow button just here. So again, LinkedIn is going to offer you 5 different steps now to get the basic profile underway. The first step being adding your experience. So add in your current job title, add in the company name, and again you'll have an auto suggest list here, so make sure you choose the accurate company or an accurate company from the auto suggest list. I suggest adding no more than 3 companies at this stage anyway, and you'll be able to come back and amend and customize those companies at a later stage, but for the time being just add 3. Next stage is adding skills and expertise. You have an option to add up to 50 with a basic profile. So although you might not be able to think of all 50 skills at this point, and again you'll be able to come back and amend and adjust these skills at a later stage, just add a few for the time being that relate to your area of expertise. And what I'd say is, again, begin to type your skill in and you'll be presented with an auto suggest list as I've indicated here. Select appropriate skills that relate to you from the auto suggest list, and the area beneath this section will be populated with your skills. If the term that you're searching for doesn't appear, or you find that there's no matching results, move on and search for a skill that is part of the actual set, the skill set. The reason that's important is because, again, recruiters and employers will search for people, as I mentioned to you before, and type in specific skills. And these particular skills contribute to optimizing your profile so that it can be found. Third step here is adding your education, and it will ask you basically where did you study, where did you attend school. So for me, what's relevant at the moment, or what's most relevant and more relevant than obviously my high school at this phase, at this stage of my career, is my university. So I added in the University of Derby, and again LinkedIn will provide an auto suggest list for you. So select your university or school from the auto suggest list. and that will be appended against your profile. Recruiters will also do searches for candidates based on the schools that they attended. So that's why it's so important to choose your school from the Autosuggest list. Next, it'll ask you what degree did you earn at university. So again, it's best to actually choose your degree from the Autosuggest list presented by LinkedIn so that it can be appended to your profile. Because again, recruiters will do searches for people based on what they studied at university. The next phase is what activities or societies did you participate in. This particular description tag is probably not as heavily searched as the other ones I've just mentioned, but you know, for the time being, you can add a couple in and always revisit it at a different at a later stage. The next area to fill in is languages if you have them, and for me, I don't have any languages except English. So skip this step if it doesn't apply to you. Then step 5 in the basic setup anyway, the basic profile setup, is adding your photo. And what I would say here is don't just add a photo for the sake of it, or don't just add the first photo that you come across on your desktop, or you know that you've taken on your iPhone. The idea here is to add a professional picture to your profile. So if you don't have one at this time, don't upload anything for the time being. Wait until you have one that looks professional. And there are certain pictures that just don't look professional at all. And I know that LinkedIn is a social network, but you don't want to go down the path of adding a picture that looks a bit too garish, I would say. You want a nice sober picture, a nice happy medium. But then again, you don't want a picture that doesn't really show who you are as a person. It's probably a bit too far away from the screen. As I mentioned before, you want a happy medium. A picture that fills up the whole of the actual picture frame. So that's the happy, sober medium. The picture at the end with me, with my tie and suit on, as opposed to the other end of the spectrum. So once again, LinkedIn will present you with an opportunity to share your profile with your contacts. This time, your social media contacts. And what I'd say here is avoid doing that at this stage, because still your profile is probably unrecognizable to your contacts. So at this phase anyway, I'd always say click on the no thanks link. Right, now we've covered the key areas and labels that you need to review and optimize for your profile. In the next video, I'm going to tell you the 5 most important sections of your LinkedIn profile that you need to optimize to maximize your LinkedIn profile's potential to be found when recruiters and employers do their searches. So look out for that.